Video 2. Now we will again continue with the video, the classes. Okay, so we are actually saying small heading which can be asked for 2 marks, and you should be aware of all these. Okay, so controls for the protection of the practical or occasional nurse. We'll see what are the various controls or the protection that is has to be followed when it comes to practical or occasional nurse. So standards of care not only assure patients the practical or vocational nurse will perform their duties based on the criteria established by the profession, they also protect the nurses. So we've been seeing that these laws are very important, which also helps a nurse to be protected. So when she knows about the law, or when he knows about the law, when a nurse knows about the law, they will know what they can do and what they cannot do. Okay, so deviation from the standard of care provide ground for charges of negligence or malpractice. The nurse has a responsibility to behave in a reasonable and prudent manner within the parameters of the accepted standards of care. So what happens is, the nurse, when she deviates from these laws, then she can become liable for court cases on her or on him. So they should be very careful that they are not negligent, what is their role, how to handle a patient. So rules and regulations, administrative rules and regulations are written within scope of the authority granted by the legislative body of the respective state. In every state you have legislation body which has given laws how to function for a person, and if he does anything against it, then they can become liable for legal sue. So administrative agencies such as the Board of Nursing in each state develop the rules and regulation that ensure that the Nurse Practice Act can be effectively implemented. So here when we see that, that's what you see in Board of Nursing. So they have the rules and regulation for nurses, what they have to follow. So standard operating procedures. Each healthcare agency has established standard operating procedures that have been approved by its administrative body. So there are certain standing operating procedures which is given by their administrative body. Then we see that standard operating procedures are written documents. They contain rules, policies, procedure, regulations and orders for the conduct of patient care in various stipulated circumstances that are unique to the agency, making them known. In such procedures, conditions are usually specified under which prescribed action to be taken. So they will know that they will have to operate under these procedures, okay, standing operating procedures. So conditions are usually specified. So what they have to do, what are the action that they have to take, that all will be mentioned in these standards. Then healthcare providers will be guided to provide care in their situation. The standard operating procedures of an organization are the means of establishing and maintaining the standards for the organization. So when they follow these rules and guidelines, it helps a nurse to work efficiently for the uplifting or to maintain her profession as well as for the organization. Next you have employee policies. This is often described in a handbook that is distributed to all newly hired employees, should provide personal health key information about the operation of the organization. So whenever a new employee comes in, there will be an handout or an handbook that is given regarding the various policies that an employee should follow. The policy statement should include such information as the organization philosophy, goals, rules, regulation, procedure and behavioral expectations. So it is important for all employees to understand the operation and responsibility of the organization as related to their positions in that organization. So it is important for an employee, okay, to know all these, so to operate well, to function well, okay, and that is also good for them to achieve something as a role of an employee and to have further growth. Okay, next you have Good Samaritan Act. So basically this Good Samaritan has come, this concept has come from the Bible. Okay, it is a story. Now what happens is, so Good Samaritan is a person who actually helps, a good neighbor. Okay, so here one person is beaten and he's traveling, okay, on the way of Jericho, I think. So as he was traveling, he was beaten up by robbers, okay, and he's lying there with his donkey. Those days they used donkey for transport, so he's lying there and then he's bleeding, okay. So a priest passes by, but then he does not help. So you have few high standard people who pass across, they don't help. But you see another person, okay, who is a Samaritan. So those days this Jewish people, Okay, so they didn't like Samaritan people, and the person who is lying on the road is a Jew. They don't like the Samaritan because the Samaritan are actually intercaste people. Okay, so they have mingled, Jewish people who have married other people, they were in Samaria. But then Jewish hated the Samaritan, but actually a Samaritan only helps, a person. Okay, and he takes them to a inn, that is a, like a lodge, and he pays for his treatment, and he also gives extra money, and he says take care of this person. Okay, so that's how you get this word Good Samaritan. Okay, so Good Samaritan Act provides rules that govern how a citizen in a state can by law acting in. So this actually, this Good Samaritan law shows us, what are the laws you have to follow in the state level or national level, how you can lend assistance to another citizen, how you can be helpful citizen to another citizen. Such an act is especially written to encourage healthcare providers. So it also, you have Good Samaritan Acts for the healthcare professional to provide assistance to people in distress. So somebody is in distress. So as a nurse, we should only be taking care of the patient to meet their needs, their expectation. It is important for all the employees to understand the operation and responsibility of their role, how to take care of a person. Okay, so these acts protect healthcare providers on civil liability while rendering help to people in need. So whoever is in need, as a nurse, we should be able to take care of the person. That is called as Good Samaritan Acts. Okay, then you have ability protection. So healthcare agencies and institutions usually provide an equate level of malpractice insurance to cover their employees under normally adverse situations. However, this coverage does not always provide the full range of protection that is sometimes needed under unusually or unforeseen circumstances. This kind of protective insurance can be found only in personal professional ability insurance policy. Malpractice insurance provides personal protection by paying damages when arranged against the nurse. It also pays for legal fees, bonds, and loss of wages under certain circumstances. The nurse may obtain liability assurance through various professional organization. It is not ability, it is liability protection. Okay, so when we talk here, okay, so all the healthcare agencies and institutions, they actually provide equal level of malpractice insurance to cover their employees under normal adverse situation. When it happens, they will make sure that they provide insurance for their employees in the hospital. However, the coverage does not always provide the full range. They do not cover everything. Okay, but then this kind of protective insurance can be found only in personal or professional liability. Okay, and then insurance policy, malpractice insurance providers, and personal then you have personal things. So liability protection is important. So in case of COVID also, now they have given health insurance for government nurses who are taking care of COVID, where they can claim about 50 lakhs if anything happens to their health. Okay, so that is one of the example with okay, so with this we have seen all the controls for the protection of practical or occasional nurse. What are the rules and regulations, standards, operating procedure, employee policies, Good Samaritan Acts, liability protection. Okay, next we will go to legislation in India. So I don't think this is included for your this thing when it comes to legal aspects. Okay, we will go to legal. Okay, we will regulation of nurse, it comes. Okay, anyway, we'll just go through this composition of council. So it is composed by representative of state registration council, that is a state central health department's nursing services, it is included. Okay, so the council, when we say composition of council, so composition which are overall included, so it is a representative of a state registration council, central and state health department nursing services, TNAI, Trained Nurses Association of India. So once when you do your 4th year BSc nursing, okay, you should get enrolled in this TNAI. The office is in Delhi. You can see in the Google, find out, okay, because it helps the nurses, it protects the nurses mainly when you work in abroad countries. So ID will be given to you. Okay, see, this is mine, TNAI membership. So here you have, so once when you enroll, they give you this, and it is very important when you fly to abroad. It gives you safety. Okay, so anything happens, if you are a member of TNAI, They will make sure that your thing will be protected. So you have to make sure that you get enrolled in Trained Nurses Association of India. This is a life membership card. Okay, so you have to have this, so it actually protects you. Okay, certificate schools, nursing colleges, medical council, and 3 members of parliament with a total membership of 55. Okay, what are the functions of this council? These are all not much important, but you should have a knowledge about it. Okay, to establish uniform standards. So when you have rules or ethics, so it will be actually the same for all the people who are working in different nation, ANMs, HVAs, health visitors. Okay, and then you have to prescribe circular for different categories of nursing personnel. What are the duties of practical nurse, registered nurse, unregistered nurse. So like that, for different category you can have the rules and regulation. To appoint inspectors for the inspection of educational institutions for the purpose of recognition of these institutions. To give recognition to state registration council and examining boards which issue qualifying certificates. Hence, the main aim of this act and the council is to lay down the minimum standards of nursing education and to bring about uniformity in qualification required for nurse to practice. The various rules regulating the practice of different categories of nursing personnel adopted by the council establish an ethical framework for the practice of nursing, but no penalty is imposed for violation. However, it is left to the states to enforce standard laid down by INC. Okay, so function of council, mainly all these are given so that it is helpful for the proper functioning. Okay, now talking about the state legislation. When we talk about the state legislation, the control over the nursing profession by the state government is exercised by means of State Registration Act. The State Nursing Council is composed of representative of School of Nursing, affiliated institution, colleges. So there should be a state legislation, a legislative body giving sets of rules and organization for all these colleges, State Nursing Council, and then you have School of Nurses, TNAI, Indian Medical Association, State Medical Council. Okay, for all these, what are their function? Registration of nurses should be done. Okay, for the ANMs or healthcare visitors. Okay, and then prescribing rules and conduct and taking disciplinary action. What are the rules and conduct that they have to follow? When they fail to follow, what are the actions that can be taken? Then inspection of training institution for nurses, HVS, ANMS, and giving recognition. So regulation of nurse establishment, exercising general supervision and control over the practice of nursing. Next, you have legal status of the professional nurse. So what does that mean about legal status of the professional nurse? A nurse in our practice can be classed as an independent contractor or an employee. The reason for determining the status of a nurse is that under the law, not only as individual is liable for his or her actions, but her employer is also liable under the rule of respondent supervisor. So here the supervisor also will be held responsible if anything bad or anything harmful to the patient has happened. Okay, so thus if a nurse negligent and patient is harmed, both the nurse and the employer, so it happens. Okay, so when you do a mistake, your supervisor also will be in a problem. Or if you work in a small clinic, if you do a mistake, the clinic head also will be held, the employer also will be held liable. Okay, the hospital also can be questioned. The professional nurse, like other people, can be sued for her negligent action. She also renders her employee liable. 5 common sense principles ensure the 5 R's: right patient, right drug, right dose, right time, right route. Okay, so this has to be given carefully. Then check the treatment in his book and legal rights and duties with regard to medical and nursing services. A nurse's duty is to carry out instructions. However, she must use her professional judgment. For example, she should be liable to find out any error on a prescription card which could lead to charge of negligence. Do not attempt anything beyond the level of competence. Okay, so don't try to go above the level of competence. And then second point, check the treatment in the book. So you should know what are the rights. Accordingly, you have to carry it off. Anything, okay, you find any error on prescription card, it can lead to a charge of negligence. So we have to be very careful. Don't attempt anything above the level of competence. Do not exceed the limits of nursing procedures laid down. Nurses at present are being pressurized to carry out certain duties usually regarded as medical, these should be avoided. So whatever is the work of a nurse, you do it. Don't do any other, procedure or things which can actually affect you. Do not take chances. If there is any doubt in your mind, seek advice from your seniors. Don't go and do abruptly. Any doubt you have, please ask your seniors and do it. Okay. And then functions of professional nurse. 7 areas of professional nursing has been identified. 6 are independent area and 1 area is dependent area. Okay. So we will see, okay, what are the various independent area and what are the other. Okay, it is a quite big one, so I think we will carry out in the next video. Okay, so in this video we have actually seen about controls for the protection of the practical or occasional nurse. What are the rules and regulations, standards, operating procedure, employee policies, Good Samaritan Act, liability protection, legislation in India. Under that you have composition of council. So many council come under that, legislation body, registration, councils, state and central departments, nursing services, TNAI, okay, post certificate schools, nursing colleges, medical council. All these people only come together, and 3 members of parliament with total membership of 55 people. They have given the rules and regulation. Then functions of the council, what is state legislation, what are their function, legal status of the professional nurse. Then 5 common sense principle. It is called as common sense principle, how a nurse should actually work. Follow all the 5 rights. Then follow the book of legislation and don't give any negligent do work. Okay, then don't attempt to do beyond the level of competency. You should not exceed the limits of nursing procedures laid down. Do whatever your work, don't go and do doctor's work, okay, and other people's work. And then 5th one, don't take chances. Okay, if there is any doubt in your mind, seek advice from the seniors. Okay, so next we will carry out with functions of professional nurse, okay, in the coming classes.